Hello, it's Natalie. I'm going to be presenting my infectious disease of plants on the beet curlytop virus. It is caused by the curtovirus, which is part of the Geminiviridae family, and there are 3 different strains. One is a severe beet curlytop virus, the other is mild beet curlytop virus, and today I'm just talking about beet curlytop virus. So it is transmitted by an insect by the scientific name of Circulifer tenellus, which is a beet leafhopper. So beet curlytop virus is one of the first viral plant diseases recognized, and it is the second disease associated with a leafhopper vector. So in the 1890s, there was a newly emerging sugar beet industry, and it had lots of loss, and this was noticed in California. So by 1895, the first description of the beet leafhopper on sugar beets was made by C.P. Gillette and C.F. Baker. Then by 1900, it was recognized across all western states growing sugar beets. In 1915, the vector and virus relationship was discovered by P.A. Bequet and W.J. Harding. They did this in an experiment in which wild leafhoppers with no prior contact with sugar beets were able to feed on sugar beets that were healthy and no disease, or sugar beets and no disease occurred. These sugar beets happened to have the virus, so then when these leafhoppers fed on healthier beets, the beets became ill after the leafhoppers transmitted the disease. In 1974, the pathogen was formally confirmed as a virus after advancements in electron microscopy were made. It was always thought that this was a virus, but without these advancements, they weren't able to fully confirm it. And then something more recent is that in 2013, tomato fields were largely affected by beet curlytop virus, with about $100 million loss by tomato growers. Something interesting is that when all this started, it largely affected mostly sugar beets, but actually tomatoes are the most severely affected crop. And then since the emergence, this disease has spread in semi-arid climates in Europe, Asia, and Africa. So now about the transmission. So when a beet leafhopper feeds off of an infected plant, the insect transfers it to the next plant it feeds on. After feeding on an infected plant, it takes a 4-hour latency period. So in these 4 hours, if the leafhopper decides to feed again, it will not transmit the disease. Once it does feed after the 4 hours, it only takes 1 minute of feeding for the leafhopper to transmit the disease. And some interesting things about this is that it can carry and transmit all strains at once. So beet curlytop virus, beet severe curlytop virus, and beet mild curlytop virus can all be carried by the same insect all at once. And then another interesting thing is that the leafhopper can remain infectious for over 3 months, which is retrospectively a very long time for a vector to remain infectious. And then the leafhoppers make a very good vector because they can produce 3 generations of leafhoppers in one season, and they can travel long distances by riding the air currents. So they're able to, generate population growth that would cause more opportunity to spread the disease, and then they can also spread it across long distances because of this. Now for the host range. The host range is quite large. More than 300 species from 44 families are hosts of curtovirus, including sugar beets, pumpkin, spinach, tomato, and flax. And like I said before, tomatoes are largely affected by the disease. And then another thing to note is that the only vector for it is the leafhopper. So without that insect, this disease would not be transmitted. Now, symptoms that the plants get when they get the disease. Leaf irregularities like dwarfed leaves, crinkles in the leaves, rolled inward leaves, and cupped outward leaves. And then the disease mostly affects the vascular system, causing phloem necrosis, which is cell death, which would cause the issues that I've just mentioned in the leaves. And then in addition to that, it would cause the leaf veins to harden and swell, stunt the growth of the roots, and then younger plants tend to die quickly, so you don't really see all those symptoms fully through, just because they don't last that long anyway. And then in those photos you can see how the phloem is discolored, which is something that the disease causes. In the upper right picture you see those swollen veins, and then the first picture, upper left, is the inward and outward curling of the leaves, which is uncommon for the plant to do. So now for the R naught. I couldn't find an exact R naught, but I'm assuming it is much greater than 1, just due to the wide range of hosts and wide variety of plants the beet leafer or leaf hopper feeds on. So I know it's greater than 1 because the leaf hopper can infect more than one plant once it's transmitted. Now for treatment and prevention. So once a plant is infected with beet curly-top virus, there's not really anything you can do in order to save it, but you should remove it from your garden or your field so that it does not spread to the other plants in the area. And then in terms of prevention, by gene selection, starting somewhere in the mid-1900s, curtovirus-resistant cultivars have been developed. So what this means is that a plant variety has been produced in cultivation by selective breeding. So by picking and choosing these different plants, they're able to make seeds that you can buy that tend to be resistant to the curtovirus. And then once you get these seeds and you're planting, you kind of want to keep them in a shadier area. They still need light to grow, but if they can get a little bit more shade than being fully exposed to the sun, it's less likely that the leaf hoppers will feed there, because the leaf hoppers love to be in the sun. And then when your plants are young, you want to place a netted cage over them, because that would prevent any predators like the leaf hoppers from being able to get to them. So they're able to grow into adulthood, and then once they grow into adulthood, you can remove that net and allow it to fully grow, because the likelihood of an infection decreases with age. And then something I forgot to mention earlier is that not all plants that have beet curly-top virus show symptoms. For example, weeds are asymptomatic. They tend to be unaffected by the disease. But like I said before, tomatoes, sugar beets, they're gonna have those symptoms that show, and they're gonna die from the disease. And then, so these are my URLs. I got them from just some gardening websites, some different universities, and some scientific journals. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation and know a little bit more about beet curly-top virus. Thank you.